7 of an introduction to digital audio production with me, Tom Cosm here. We're going to pick up from the last time on part 6 when we were working on our breakdown, and we got some nice blippy bleepy kind of stuff going on here. And remember, we used the operator on these two here, and we were getting slightly into FM synthesis just a little bit. So I want to work a little bit more on this breakdown today. We won't spend the entire hour on it because we've worked on it quite a lot already, and we could probably move on to something else, come back to it a bit later if we want. So just having a listen to this. This is when it first drops. This is when all the elements come out. So first thing I'd like to do is let's put a little bit of a build-up leading up to this point here. In fact, if we right-click up the top, we can add a locator, and a locator is just a simple point which lets us know where something is, and we'll just call this breakdown. This is handy because if we just want to play the breakdown at any stage, we just can click over here and play, and it will play from that point. So we want to build up to this breakdown. Now we had some white noise that we were using before over here. Let's use that again. So I'm going to copy these MIDI clips here, which are a build-up, and I'm going to paste them over here. So now we will have a build-up. Just remember to drag this out so it goes all the way to the end. Or actually no, let's have it stop. That's all good. Let's change this last bar here a little bit. Let's split the kick clip so we can work on this individual MIDI clip here and just change it a little bit. Let's just change the kicks around so they go in a different pattern. Something like that. So it's a bit more filly, so let's listen. Where's that snare? There's the snare. Let's change the snare. So again, I'm going to split the snare, which is here. Here are our 3 snare hits that we had. Let's drag that smaller by holding down the command key, and let's duplicate it across. We could probably add in, if we narrow the grid, we could probably add in a few. We'll make it narrow, not narrowest. Put in some rolls like this just to see how that sounds. Maybe not so fast. Can we change the volume of these? Maybe even have some fast ones before those two. Just changing the velocity so it creeps in. Not bad. Let's put that down so we've got 2 of the snares playing. And I reckon we need something to come in on this breakdown point. At the moment it kind of goes to silence. Now one option would be to copy our crash symbol and paste it here. It's not bad. I reckon a dry crash cymbal is a little bit boring for a breakdown though. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new audio track below the crash, and we'll call this Crash 2. And we'll just copy that, we'll cut that, and we'll paste it in Crash 2. So now let's add some effects onto this crash and see what we've got here. Let's put a, let's start with a, what should we put? Let's put a filter delay. Let's just delay the crash out for a bit. So I'm going to turn the left and the right ones off. So we've just got the middle delay chain happening here. We'll put it on 3, give it a bunch of feedback, and let's put the filter, the bandpass filter of that delay chain up quite high so the delay kind of goes off into thin air. Let's have a listen. That's pretty cool. Just for a bit of added fun, let's put a redux after it, change the downsample rate to soft. And if we zoom in, we can slowly bring the automation line of the downsample down like this. We could give it even a bit more feedback. All the way down. And also, what about a reverb after that? Dry wet, let's bring it so it's 0% wet, so it's just completely dry, no reverb. Bring the decay time up quite a lot, and let's bring the dry wet slowly coming in as that redux kicks in, so the redux actually gets reverberated. Quite cool. I think we could even add some other kind of strange pad sound in here. So where should we put that? Here's our pads. Let's create another MIDI track, and we'll call this pad break. Now this one, let's create something nice and complex and moving. So I'm going to load in an instrument rack here. So an instrument rack allows us to drop various instruments into it, and we can put 3 or 4 different instruments in here. We can have samplers, operators, analogs, or any VST instruments. And for this one, let's use an operator, because it's a nice, got a lot of things that we can change. We want something quite moving here. So I'm going to insert quite a long MIDI clip here, double click it, and remember we're working in G, so let's just put a long G for now, so we've got a solid tone, and then we can work on that. And I'm just going to solo the track, so we can have a listen. So there we go. You see our first chain in this instrument rack is an operator, and we can load up many more down here if we want, but for now we just want an operator, which is here. So let's make this, let's make it a saw wave. Let's go into the routing and change it so all 4 of the oscillators are going out to the main mix, so there's no frequency modulation on this, which means we can bring the level of this one up as well, so we have 2 oscillators going, and we can change the waveform to another saw. So now we have 2 sine waves exactly the same, oscillating. So if we detune one of them slightly, we get a bit of a out of sync feeling. Let's bring the filter on. We want that filter. Let's give the LFO, send the LFO to the filter, so the low frequency oscillator. Again, an oscillator like these ones here, but it doesn't actually have any audio output. It just slowly oscillates, and we can attach it to something. By default it's set to A, B, C and D, so it'll be the pitch of all of these oscillators. So if we were to play this now, you can hear the oscillator changing the pitch up and down. If we bring the rate up, it will go faster. If we bring the amount up, it'll change how much it actually changes the pitch. But I don't think I want any LFO on the pitch of the oscillators for now, so let's turn that off. But we'll turn the filter on. So now that same sweeping LFO is going to change the frequency of the filter. That's good. Let's put a reverb after this. So I'm dragging the reverb down after the operator, inside the rack. You could drag the reverb outside of the rack, but then the reverb would apply to everything which is in the rack. We just want it to apply to this particular chain of the rack, which is our operator. Give it lots of decay time. Let's change the rate very, very slowly, and we'll give it lots of amounts, see how that sounds. In fact, let's change this drop down menu here. We've got three options: low, high and sync. Now these define how this rate knob works. If it's on low, it means we can change this and it can go at very low speeds. If we changed it to high, now it's going to be very fast. That actually sounded pretty cool. I'm just going to drag the automation line of that rate around a little bit. Seems to be a sweet spot somewhere here. Let's find it. Turn the reverb off. If I introduce a point, let's say here, and slowly drag this, let's make it faster, see how that sounds. It's quite interesting. Turn the reverb on, see how that sounds. Not bad. Let's take the amount down slowly here. I quite liked it there. Maybe a little bit less decay time on the reverb. I'm going to drag this loop out so it is now twice as long. I'm going to change the length from 18 to 16 and then drag the note out over the entire 16 bars. So we've got double the note to work with. Duplicate it, see what happens. Actually, let's bring the rate back up here. And let's play with the dry wet here, bring it down, and make it come back up. Not bad. What if we were to bring this rate up a lot? Way too fast. What we could do is we could put a compressor after this rack here. So here's our compressor, and the beeps are coming here at synth stab. So if we do drop down the sidechain option of the compressor, turn on sidechain, take the audio from synth stab, it's this one here, we need to rename this, let's call it main synth stab. So we go back to our pad, compressor, audio from main synth stab, and let's bring the threshold slider right down so that the pad can get out of the way when this beep starts coming in. Let's change this from post to pre-effects. Post-effects means it's taking the sidechain information after the effects on the main synth. And of course, if we look at the main synth, we have a reverb and a filter delay. So it's actually going to take the delay tail as well and compress with that. We don't want that. We want it to be pre-effects, so it's just the beat without any of the effects. Hear how that works now? I might just open up this clip. I'm going to select everything, hold shift and push down, and we'll put it 1 octave below. I want to see how that sounds. And let's slowly have this threshold come down over time. So of course the threshold slider has an automation line as well. So let's insert a point. Let's say here we want it to be doing it at maximum, or at the value that we want, which is negative 53.4 decibels, and let's bring it up to 0 up here. So when it starts, it's not actually going to get compressed or sidechained. Good, so let's open up this one and take it an octave down as well. So Control, Alt, Shift and down to make it an octave below. Now, the only problem we've got here is because the LFO is set to high and we're at the lowest value, it's not actually in time with the music. So that's going to be a bit of a problem, because it would be nice to have that bass wobbling, or whatever you call it, that LFO sound actually in time. So let's change this drop down to sync and see how it sounds. We're going to have to now draw in a new rate line ourselves. So if we start fast, maybe keep it there on 1/6, that was kind of cool. We can bring it back up. Let's say start here, we'll slowly bring it back. Duplicate that. That's actually quite cool. I like what's happening there. However, I think when it drops, this part here should be a bit of a different sound than that one. So I'm going to duplicate this entire pad break track. I'm going to rename it to pad break 2. I'm going to delete the MIDI clips here because we don't want them for that one, and we're going to delete it here because we don't want it for that one. So now we can work on this sound here, which is quite cool. I think first off, let's lose the reverb for a start, see what it sounds like. Let's even put this one an octave down. Control Alt Shift down. Quite cool. Let's put in an EQ8 to get rid of the bass frequencies, because we've got our bass line taking care of those. Maybe in the operator if we change... Well, let's change the fine tune a little bit again. Let's get it... See how nasty we can make it. Maybe make these square waves instead of saw waves. Square waves are a bit angrier. We'll play with the EQing a bit to bring it out. Maybe if we put a chorus on it, that might spread it out a bit and make it sit a bit better in the mix. Maybe even something like a flanger on it to give it a real kind of screaming feeling. Just bringing the feedback and the delay time down a bit. Maybe not a flanger. Let's just have a listen from here and see how this sounds. Might even be able to get rid of this beep here and bring it in a little bit later. Get rid of this synth line here, we don't need it. Might as well get rid of things that are unnecessary. I was listening up here before, I think it's this one. Let's get rid of those as well for now. So once again our drops kind of changed, but this is how I tend to work, and I think it's a productive way, you know, constantly playing with ideas and slowly shaping it into the best it can possibly sound. And of course as you do that you can keep all your old ideas and bring them in later in the tune to keep them evolving. So let's make this a little bit more in your face. We could actually play with some frequency modulation here. So if we go back to the routing menu, remember we set it so all four oscillators were coming out evenly. Let's change it so now they're all frequency modulating each other. So now this one's going to modulate this one instead of both going out. It'll probably sound pretty strange to start with. I might change this wave shape to a sine wave. It's quite a cool sound. So if we put the LFO back, if we put the LFO onto destination B, so now it's going to be changing the filter and destination B. If we turn it off the filter, bring the level down a bit. Maybe bring the amount down. We don't need to worry about changing it now because it's not this one anymore. And of course we need to recreate that wobbling effect. We can do that by adding an auto filter, so it's just like putting another filter after it. We put the rate onto sync mode, and remember we had it at 1/6. Turn the phase down to 0 so it doesn't phase around stereo, and bring this down. Bring the amount up. Not bad, let's change the sound a bit though. Maybe put it back on a, we'll put this one on a saw. Let's take that chorus off for a sec, have a listen. Let's get rid of the chorus. So I've just changed that to a band pass instead. I'm going to put a filter delay after it to do the spatial widening thing. Turn off the middle one, sync off, sync off. And let's put a, if we look over here, here's our compressor. Let's take the compressor from, the sidechaining of the compressor from, where are we here? We'll call this drop synth. And that's where we'll take the sidechain from. Main from drop synth. Again, remember pre-effects. Let's change the rate, see if we can get something else. It's cool. So now we've just got a pure saw wave again because we've taken off the FM stuff. Let's put it back on so all four oscillators are coming out. FM isn't really doing it for me. Let's change this oscillator to some noise white and turn it up a bit. Oh, we could even, might add in another operator. So I'm dragging it down into this part here, so it's created a second operator for us. This is our first chain, this is our second chain. So we've kind of got two instruments in each of these racks. So now we have two. This operator is a sine, let's put that on a square. And let's bring the level of the second one down. Could do with a little bit of reverb after it, I think. Very short size and decay time. see as I move the filter of the bandpass on these delays around, it's changing the spaciousness of it. So let's keep this going. Let's drag this automation line for the frequency of that bandpass on the filter. Let's drag it around. Let's just randomly drag it around different places. And have a listen to see if the sound moves around. If you're in headphones, you'll probably get this effect a lot better. Of course, we need to duplicate our bass line. And we need to duplicate these across, like so. Anything else in there which needs duplicating across? Synth stab, yep, duplicate across, and we don't need this. Get rid of that crash in there, don't need that. Maybe this is getting pretty busy, this whole chain here, but that's alright. Computers can handle shit like this these days. Another compressor, simply sidechaining from the kick. And of course I put the compressor on the wrong thing, so I'm going to drag it down to this pad break too. I put it on pad break 1 by accident. Let's bring the frequency up. Pretty cool, just changing the EQ on it. Maybe a bit too much reverb. Still not really cutting through, so bringing the get rid of these points here, they're restricting us from moving this around. Bring the threshold up a bit. Maybe bring this down an octave. Just gonna get rid of the reverb for now. Turn the compressors off for a second. Oh, that's 2 compressors on the kick, that's probably why. So this is changing the level of the one of the oscillators here, which is modulating this one. It's a pretty menacing sound. I'm not sure if it's usable, but we can keep playing with it for a minute, see if it sounds alright. Bit too much there. Let's put it on fixed. Let's change this to a saw. Get rid of that one. Let's get it all fixed. I might leave that for the time being. I feel like I'm getting a bit stuck at a dead end, so we can come back to that later. Let's go back to this breakdown part of the drop. It's alright. We'll go into the rate time of the LFO here. Because the rate is going at static increments, so we can't really sweep that through a range of frequencies. Because it's stuck on predefined ones, it's probably not the best idea to have a line that goes straight up, because it'll kind of change the rate at various points, which aren't actually relevant to the music. In time to the rhythm. So let's get rid of those lines there, and let's instead go. We'll change this one by dragging it up a bit. Delete these notes every second one. It's a bit too intense, that part there. Maybe even bring it down an octave. I kind of like it stripped back without that main synth, so let's it needs some kind of really crazy mangled noise in there, which is all good. So let's create a mangled noise, which will be fun. Again, I'm going to use an instrument rack here, just in case we want to add more to the actual sound. So let's put in an operator. Whoops, don't double click it because it'll override the instrument rack. Control Z, instrument rack. Put the operator in down here. Something really, a big white noise drop or something. Make a bit of a bigger MIDI clip. Put in a big long G. Let's make that white noise. Be very noisy. Let's turn the filter on. And see, we've got an envelope over here for the filter. So we could actually turn the envelope amount up, say to 100%. Now this line will control the filter for us. So if I bring the decay time out, which is here, or you can drag this square here. If I bring the frequency right down, so you can hear how the filter goes with this line here. Make that a bit longer, let's make it. Put the resonance up. Pretty epic. Put in a compressor, just to sidechain it out of the kick. We're going full pumping. We've got lots of stuff going on here, so it's good to let things get out of the way of other things. Let's say the first two kicks. So where's the kick drum? Let's solo that. We want this slider to come down after the first two kicks, like this. So the first two, two kick drums, it's going to be very busy, and then it's going to sidechain. And put a reverb after it so it's a bit more lush. Let's have a listen. It's pretty good. Maybe we could make the decay time even a bit longer on that filter. And let's put the decay time of the reverb going up, so it's really, really big, right at the end. Make sure the threshold stays down so it still pumps. The decay time doesn't have to be that long, actually, make it. Another instrument in this instrument rack here. Put another another operator. So we open up the chains here. We can drag another operator in. We can name these two. So that's our white noise. Let's try something a bit crazy. Let's just solve with this one. Let's give it a pitch envelope. So a pitch envelope means it's like we did with the filter with the white noise, except this is going to change the actual pitch of all of these oscillators here. So if we bring this up high, make sure we put the pitch envelope up to 100%. If we drag the decay time out a lot, pretty epic. Let's change the oscillator down an octave by changing the course. Let's even make it a square. It could be quite cool. What if we put a filter on there? Maybe make it a, let's try a high pass, high 24. I like it with that level opening up. I mean, I'm not too sure if this is going to sound good with a drop, but it's quite fun to make this sound. Put the white noise on. Let's bring the frequency so it starts high. about maybe there, and have the frequency slowly come down. Let's have a listen. Pretty epic, but could be cool. Not bad. Bring the filter down a bit. We can even go an octave lower, so highlight the note. Hold down shift, push down. Getting somewhere. What about an octave lower even? Bring the filter down. Let's go back into that operator here. See if we put this on a fixed value, see what happens. So by putting it on a fixed value, instead of this oscillator taking the note value which it's currently getting, we're actually defining a frequency which can be quite good, because we're not actually doing a melodic sound here. It doesn't have to be in pitch with the actual music. So therefore we could get away with playing with the actual frequency of the oscillator rather than having it as an actual note, like a G for example. So let's just play with this frequency a bit more, see what we get. I'm just going to take off the white noise. Bring the level up. It's kind of cool. I'm going to change the level so it's 100%. Let's bring this up an octave. Alright. Let's take everything up an octave. Definitely like it there. Just for a bit of fun, let's put the LFO on. So just bringing the level up, automating the level a bit. Put the white noise back on. I'm going to try something strange here. I'm going to solo just this one here, which is without the white noise. Create a new audio track. We'll call this, drop, resample. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the input of this track, which is this drop-down menu here, from the 19 instrument which we've got. So by clicking record here, and clicking record up here and pushing play, it's going to resample exactly what's currently playing out of this channel. So we'll have a sample of that sound to work with. Let's have a look. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to change the reverb decay time up a lot, bring it back a bit, so we've got a really long tail. That'll do us. So here's our sample. I'm going to take this track off solo, and let's just listen to what we've got. So that's resampled that. We've got a sample. Now we can double click on the sample, and here it is here. Just an idea is I'm going to click on the transpose button, the envelopes, which means this gets pitched down to this point, and then it's just a reverb tail. But if we double click at a point and then double click that and drag it up, say 12 semitones, the reverb tail is going to pitch up. Make sure this the algorithm for the pitch stretching is set to something other than beats. We'll go texture for this one. It's just because we're pitching the sample up, and because it's already a flattened sample, it has to somehow make up for the stretching or the change of the pitch, because we're retaining the time but not the pitch. Think of say, you know, a record on a turntable. If you slow the turntable down, it goes slower, but the pitch goes lower. It has to do that, whereas we want to keep the time static. So we have to use some clever little algorithms. These are the ones that Live gives you to actually keep that maintained. Let's have a listen to that. Who knows what all that will sound like, but let's have a go. Just one idea, let's put it back a bit and see how it sounds just before the drop instead. Play it from the breakdown. I'll just turn this channel back on, but we're going to mute this one because we've already resampled it. We just have the white noise. Somewhere, I kind of like that. Comes in a little bit suddenly. Let's just try loading in a utility and having the volume down, quite down low. I'm slowly bringing it up. Maybe not that low. I had this still is taking the input from channel 19, which was going to making it play twice, which of course means it's twice as loud, so make sure it's on no input. We can play with this. Let's get rid of this. I mean, that was a cool thing to play with. Actually, no, we'll keep it and we'll drag it down the bottom somewhere. We might use it later. I really liked that build up there, but it needs to go for a bit longer. So I'm going to call this, what we call this, drop noise. Let's duplicate that. So now we have 2. This one is drop noise 2, and this is where we're going to use over here for the drop. This is just going to be the white noise. So we can get rid of the operator out of that instrument rack, because that's just some white noise. That's alright. But this one, let's get rid of the white noise so we just have the operator. Let's drag this out, change the length of it to 8, and drag the note out longer, so now we have a big note. Going to try something strange here, bear with me. So what I did here was I gave the pitch envelope a tail, a release time that goes back up. Now that means when the note is finished playing, curve back up to its original point. But I also had to go over to the oscillator and make sure that the envelope had a large release as well, because the note gets turned off there, but by having a large release time, say 60 seconds, the note will actually keep playing even though we've let go. But we need to let go in order to tell the pitch envelope to go back up again. So it's a little bit tricky way of doing it. I mean, we could do it with pitch automation lines, but this seems to be sufficient. So let's have a listen again. Didn't work that up. So it's all about finding the right release time. We need it to be exactly the amount of seconds it is here, so let's zoom in and have a quick look, just to get a rough idea. So I would say roughly about 7 seconds. So let's make the release time 7 seconds. Of course, if we click on the blue thing, we can change the curve. So let's change it so it's a perfect slant upwards, so the pitch will just go straight up in one direction. In order to get that cool sound again, we've got to make sure that the envelope for this one also has heaps of release time. So like that, let's see. Let's play with the frequency and see what that does. Getting into some really crazy shit here, it's good. Let's make sure the threshold stays down. Let's listen to it with the everything. Getting there, needs to get a bit louder at the drop, so I'm selecting the output slider here, so we've got a slider for it, keep it on 0 roughly, and let's slide it up. We'll play with it as it's playing to get it right. Quite cool. One idea, I'm going to chuck another utility after the compressor. Let's play with the gain. Let's go in here, get down into a small increment. Remember we did this on the pads before where we used the gain knob of the utility to gate it by selecting every second beat and bringing the level down. And then we can select, or we can plus that out, so we've got our own automation line, we can duplicate that across. Lots and lots and lots. May sound good, may sound bad. Trial and error. We're on the right track. I'm going to duplicate that out a bit more. Let's also put an auto pan after it, and we'll change the amount of the auto pan up to a maximum value right at the drop, so it doesn't auto pan at the drop. And let's just change the rate really slow, so as that utility gates and rhythmically chops the sound, it'll pan round left and right. And I'm just going to play this for one last time because we're coming to an end of part 7, but we'll pick off when we started. Next time, we're stuck on the drop, but it's usually the most important part of a tune. It's the part where you want to put the most work in, I think. Yeah, and hopefully you're getting some good stuff out of it. TomCosm.com. Make sure you stick around for the next one. Cool. Play it from back here.